Welcome back to Season 2 of the Love Letters to Virginia podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Pasmino. Thanks for listening.
It's not about the destination. It's a journey. One day someone will say, I would have never advanced myself in skill development if it were not for her artisan program. The Laurianda clothing company designs and produces women's garments with a corset style, built-in waist shaper called the Perfect Assistant. Created from clients' requests regarding constant waistband roll down, a fit and flare shape, and a tailored fit, the Perfect Assistant cinches the waist by at least 1 inch and provides a firm yet comfortable hold. Since 2007, the Laurianda Clothing Company has been offering designer clothing through different distribution channels such as specialty boutiques and online dropshipping. In 2017, we changed our business model to focus on turnkey operations. We are an apparel manufacturer offering profitable business opportunities. With over 20 years of combined experience in fabric sourcing, apparel production, financing, and customer service, our company now becomes part of the overall health of the U.S. economy. Each garment is produced in-house by trained artisans. After several years of teaching sewing classes through the East Coast, I had no reason to send production overseas. Instead, our artisan program enforces skill development and confidence in exploring form of income in a creative field. We encourage the novice sewer to join our free training courses in zippers, cutting, and sewing seams. This way, when shifts become available, they are qualified for more opportunities to earn money and experience.
Hello. How are you today?
Good. So good to talk to you.
It's really great to talk to you too.
My name is Laurianda, and I'm owner of the Perfect Assistant.
Did you go to VCU for fashion school?
I went to VCU,
Okay.
but I didn't go for fashion.
Oh.
I went for business information systems and fashion and sewing and pattern making. That was sort of a thing that I was doing, as a hobby.
Okay.
So I didn't go to school for it, but I definitely am self-taught and definitely have the skills and, in that field.
Oh, that's amazing. So did you go to school for business to go into business for fashion? Or was that just kind of like a passion that developed over time?
It developed over time. When I went to school for business information systems, I just thought I would probably be working for a software company or something like that and, working for someone else. But I just took those skills and incorporated into something of my own. For our artisan team, the way we find it is actually through a website that is hosted by VCU. It's called Handshake. That portal is where local businesses such as mine can, upload jobs. Being on that platform, all of the students go there firsthand to look for jobs. So most of my artisans are from VCU.
Nice.
I do the designs, the patterns for each design. So all of the designing is done by me. Production or orders are handled by whoever's available who can, assist with cutting fabric and cutting and sewing.
How long have you been hosting the sewing classes?
When I initially started doing the sewing classes, I offered them through another platform called Live and Social. I'm not sure if you remember that, but it was, I think it was separated from Groupon, but now they're all together. But yeah, so I will offer the sewing classes on Groupon, and I will offer them in different markets. So, there was a deal in Richmond and there was a deal in DC. So I offered the sewing classes through that platform, and then it just grew. It really just grew. And then I started, offering. I was like, hey, if I can show people and teach people how to sew, I can definitely grow my own production team right here in Richmond, Virginia.
That is amazing. I feel like most people are generally like, well, let's try to get it done as cheaply as possible, and we'll worry about, all the
Oh no. Oh, yes,
outsourcing.
yes, you absolutely. Everyone, there's a market full of fashion people. You can wake up and say, hey, I'm a fashion designer, but I didn't want to fall into that, category of fashion. Like I really wanted to take this skill and not only show others that, you can get an income from it, because such a lost art, people don't really look at it as, you can really do anything with it. But I really wanted, kind of bring life back to that skill, and, just show people who are even just the slightest interested in it, but don't even know how to get started or even know if it's possible. So even with, if it wasn't this business, it's going to be another business where I would share a skill, or, give back to my community, and, just participate in the overall economy of America. So that has always been my goal in whatever business it's in. But luckily, I was able to do it in, a business or industry that I have a passion for.
What made you start wanting to do fabrics and sewing?
Good question. Very good question. I I would have to say, because I grew up in New Jersey, and at that time we had um, home economic classes. I don't know where Virginia schools really include, but we had home economics and we had shop. So I remember our first project in my first home economics class, we had to do a pillow. And the pillow, oh my gosh, I was just like, this is where I need to be. I made a pillow shaped like a jar, and sewed like little bumblebees, or no, not bumblebees, lightning bugs. I sew like little bugs on them, like, a cut, of course, cut it out, the fabric. So it looked like I had lightning bugs in a jar. So, just getting the response from that pillow, and then just, the love that I felt for putting something together, putting something together that I made. So I think that was my first encounter with, fabrics and sewing. And after that, I was just like, Mom, I need a sewing machine. So my grandmother had gotten me a sewing machine. My mom had got me a sewing machine. You know how that goes. Like, I think they went in on it. I'm not sure. That's still a debate. But I got a sewing machine at a young age, and I just started like doing it. I just started doing patterns, and eventually making my own patterns. So yeah, that's how it got started.
That's so cool. So how did you end up in Virginia?
Well, again, initially it was my mom relocated. And when I got here, that's when I decided I wanted to go to VCU, because when I was in New Jersey, it was like the end of my senior year, that time where you got to find out, what schools and stuff you were, going to apply to. And I had initially applied for Virginia State University, and actually got in and went like a semester or so. But then, when I got here, I was like, man, I want to go to VCU. So I transferred. But what brought me down here, my parents had moved to Virginia. They relocated.
Do you like it here?
I love it here. I love it here. I love it here.
So I am completely just floored by the fact that you didn't go into design school to do this, and you chose shapewear. That seems like it involves extra math and all kinds of fun stuff that I wouldn't even think to delve into, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I had to think of something where, I wanted to jump on that trend. So shapewear is definitely an industry. It's just booming, and I was needing something different. Like I wanted something different. Like, again, anyone can wake up and say, hey, I'm a fashion designer. So I just had to do things that were different, like that stood out because it's saturated, the market is saturated. So, and then again, you can order from Alibaba, or you can order, from these, international suppliers and just slap on a label. But I just didn't want, to go that route. I really wanted to do something where, it just made the brand stand out.
I really love the silhouette that you're creating. It's very classic.
Yep, that's my goal. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, so that is definitely my goal. I definitely wanted to go classic and traditional. Wanted the pieces to be, something that you buy 2022 and then you pull it out in 2025, or even let your daughter borrow it or whoever, because it's always that piece. And my ultimate goal in life is definite, ultimate goal in life as far as my skill. I definitely want it to be that piece where it's worth something, where, if someone says, hey, oh my God, look what I finally found. They don't, you can't find this here anymore. I would definitely want it to be of value. So now being in, the position I'm in now, but 10 years from now, I definitely want to have a product that is worth, just as it's always going to be worth something. So I definitely want to put value in my product.
I love to hear that. And I'm so glad that you're passionate about creating sustainable clothing and not just feeding into the mass market.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I also noticed that you've got a trade program.
Oh, the trade up, trade out. So yeah. So with our, again, just going back to just wanting to have a product that represents value and quality, I, in my experience, so my background does include it includes custom garments, and working closely with women, our bodies change, and it could be due to anything. It can be due to pregnancy, maybe a new medication, anything, and I think as women, most of our security, we need to feel secure about ourselves. So I really wanted to add in the trade up, trade down with any body changes that you may have within like 6 months. You can trade in your skirt, of course, if it's in, good condition. I want to have that opportunity where you could trade it in and get a new one, for a fraction of the cost that you initially paid for, your original perfect assistant skirt. So I definitely want, I want that policy, all of my customers to know that policy, potential customers to know that policy, because I don't really think there's any other brand that's really doing that. But I definitely want to be that brand that you remember when, you had that baby and your body, changed, and you really want to, feel good and look good and, maybe get dolled up, get dressed up. And that piece, you look in the closet and you see the perfect assistant skirt, you're like, okay, I'm going to wear this because this makes me feel good, and this makes me, feel more secure about my body type or whatever changes I'm going through with my body.
I like that. It's very empowering.
Thank you.
Of course.
I definitely want to do something with stationery. I love paper, I love pen, I love markers. So I love being creative. And I think after, really building this empire, that I would throw in like an empowering line of stationery, like maybe your paper is hot pink and your ink is, I don't know, blue. Like I definitely think seeing something really pretty or beautiful, inspires you to get the job done. That's how I really get my to-do list down. I like things that look pretty. So if I, um, see a nice pen, it inspires me to keep working and, you know, finishing my task. So I definitely want to bring something, you know, to where we're not looking at work as work, but work is fun. So I think I definitely want to, dabble into the stationary area, after, I've gotten a really good name for myself. I like pockets, and I like pockets because I hate a whole bunch of like keys on one ring. I know this is, well, I'm just revealing all of my quirkiness, but you know, it's like I like pockets. So I like, like one key on my ring or maybe two keys on the ring, and then, being able to put it in my pocket. And then if I have my cell phone, I want, my cell phone on me. I think it's just me. And just is really just bringing out how my mind works when I'm, you know, coming out with a design or coming out with a different concept. So I'm thinking, I can be more organized if I have more pockets, or it's just a space like where everything doesn't have to be cluttered. So I don't like a cluttered desk. I don't like a cluttered mind. So I think that I could probably took that into creating that skirt just to have an extra like pocket. So I named it the fanny pack skirt. I know that's really, really dorky, but yeah, that's actually probably one of my favorite pieces so far.
It's so much cuter than it sounds, though. I love the little bows, and it's the perfect shape. It doesn't look like it's gonna get in the way. I love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So there's a question that I ask all of my guests, and that is, how do you recognize someone from Virginia?
How do I recognize someone from Virginia? Ooh, good question. Let's see. How do I recognize someone from Virginia? Let me think. Oh, you mean, okay. I do have this one thing. So when I first moved down here, I noticed that Virginians say tennis shoes instead of sneakers. So I know if I'm discussing some type of clothing and someone says tennis shoes, I'll always be like, okay, they're from Virginia.
That's funny. You're so right. That's something I've never noticed until you brought it up. How do you source your fabric?
I do have a few wholesalers that I work with, and those wholesalers are also here in America.
Awesome.
So there are some fabric wholesalers like in LA, fabric wholesalers further south, like in South Carolina.
Mhm.
But for the most part, they're suppliers that I've worked with for quite a time and built a relationship with. So um, that's pretty much how I source my fabrics. And they're always coming out with different colors, different styles and stuff. So I'm as one of their clients, I'm one of the first to hear about new fabrics that are coming out or new prints, things like that. So
Okay. Do you have a hard time coming up with content ideas for your podcast? I find that there is nothing more embarrassing than all of a sudden being stumped in the middle of a conversation where it's like, I know I had more questions for you, but I just can't remember what they are right now. And that's why I'm trying Poddex. Poddex is the best all-in-one podcast idea generation tool. You get everything from episode ideas to interesting conversation starters for interviews, engaging discussions for your live streams, and even social media content ideas. With this tool, you don't have to spend weeks trying to come up with content for an episode or unique questions for your guests. Just shuffle the cards and pick one at random, hit the record button, and get started. Now you can make better content, have more fun while you're at it, and get your viral moment, all with Poddex. Head over to poddex.com and use code C4C.
Hey, this is Latasha Holloway. I plan to be the future mayor of Virginia Beach, but when the time comes, I will need your support. As a veteran of the healthcare field, I understand something about empathy. We must have empathy and compassion in order to improve Virginia Beach.